Oh, yay! Hello. There we are
That
again.
gets you going.
With the yeah, it's like a little bit of coffee in the morning. The cheesy music. I love mediocre music. I don't know what it is. I just like music that's just nobody else wants to listen to. And there's a perfect example. Hello. We are joined today. WP Build's weekly WordPress news. If I can get my hair out of the way, we've got. Three of us today. Sadly, Mr. Paul Lacey, who joins us every week, he's poorly. So I hope you're all right, Paul. He said he'd be listening from his bed. I hope he's okay. Anyway, good luck to you, Paul. Speedy recovery. Nevertheless, we've still got the three of us. I've got over there Mr. Jan Koch. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm from Germany, and I'm the host of the WP Agency Summit.
Do you know what? Let's do that as our first thing. As soon as we've, yeah, that's all right. As soon as we've said hello to our other guest, which is Robert Jacobi. How are you doing, Robert? Tell us about you, where you're from, and what you do.
Thank you. I'm from Chicago. I am a solutions and partnership guy.
Okay.
And I have a blog and newsletter and all that fun stuff as well.
Do you want to say any URLs? Do you want to drop anything, or are you happy?
Oh, sure. It's easy. Just robertjacobi.com.
Okay, and you can see his name correctly spelt, hopefully by himself at the bottom of the screen. And might I add, sporting a tremendous moustache, the likes of which I only wish I was able to grow. I've just got this scruffy mess here, which needs a bit of dealing with. Anyway, look, we've got some comments in already. Hello. Love the music. Thank you, Beth. That's very kind. It is deliberately mediocre. At the end of every podcast episode that I produce, not the news ones, but the regular podcast, I have really awful music. And I get quite a lot of comments from people saying, please, will you just put good music in there? And I say, no, it's supposed to be rubbish. It's to annoy you in the way that did. Hello, Paul. He is alive. Oh, nice to see you. Robert Jacobi in the house. That's nice. And Jan is the new dad. Yeah, tell us about being a new dad. Jan, how's it going?
It's fantastic. The most beautiful experience ever, and I can only say that because our daughter sleeps through the night already. Yes. So yes. She's 12 weeks old now.
Yeah. That is something. I had the same experience, so I count myself equally lucky.
You scared me with the story of your second child. So
yeah, the second child not
Thanks
quite
for that.
so easy. The second child not quite so easy, but the first one absolute doddle. Let's put this on the screen. This is who we are. WP Builds. Go to wpbuilds.com where you can find out all that we do. I'm going to rip through this really quickly. This link here, subscribe link, allows you to sign up on Facebook group and sign up for some emails and so on. You know, the usual stuff. We've got a deals page. I've added a couple of deals this week. Last week, in fact, I can't remember what they were, but there's a couple of extra ones in there. You might want to go and check them out. Hook turn, that's what I think it was. And we've also got a competition at the minute, which apparently is broken. So ignore that page because it looks like there's an iframe problem. But this is our news page, and we'll be talking about this one this week, which looks a bit like this. But before we do that, I just said to Jan just now, let's talk about his summit. Can you give me a URL, Jan, and I'll just go for it?
Yeah, let me send you one in the chat because I'm just uploading the static site again.
Oh, okay. Are you on like static or something or some equivalent?
It's actually a plugin that converts to static, and
is it WC to static or whatever it's called?
Let me check right now.
Oh, okay. You don't
it's
need to worry.
from Leon. So this is the WordPress version that I've sent you.
Okay, I'll have a look at that as well in a minute. But okay,
yeah.
So
the other one is faster.
Tell us about your summit.
Yeah, it's essentially the follow-up to the 2019 event that I've done last year in December. And I've managed to get support from really exciting speakers, amongst of which is Robert as well. So he's going to have a fun session with this. And what I'm trying to do again is I'm trying to build this one resource I want to have to grow my own agencies. So I'm scratching my own itch again, really, and I'm bringing together people who have successfully built fantastic businesses in the WordPress industry. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see what types of clients they work with. or you should see that, but it doesn't come up. So let's scroll down to
That's a bit like my iPhone problem a minute ago.
This is so good. Yeah, that happens when you touch websites shortly before you go live. So we have some super exciting speakers coming up. I'm aiming at around 40 speakers at the end, and I am at 32 right now, I think. So it will be live from October 12th to 16th. That's exactly the week after your summit. And forget that page; it's messed up.
Yeah, Kim Boyle just disappeared. Bless it. Okay, so this is for agency owners, and let's just make so it's wpagencysummit.com. The registration page you can see here is registration-page-2020, but no doubt at some point.
Which obviously will not be the final URL when I start the pre-launch.
Right. Good to get a bit of promo in first. I'm pleased about that.
I appreciate that a lot.
Oh no,
but it also goes to show that hosting these events, like you well know by yourself now, is a lot of work and things don't always go as planned. So it's just part of doing these events, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to promote your stuff, as you know, so that's great. We've got a summit, and maybe we'll get onto that at some point later as well.
We should. And the plugin, by the way, is static HTML output.
Ah, okay. Not come across that one. Static HTML output. For those of you that want to know, and probably it does work, just not right at this exact moment. There's some. It
is working right now, and it's processing right now, and that's why
I see. Okay, so if we'd have come to this 10 minutes from now, we probably would have seen everything in its full
probably
glory.
After this episode is over, then we should be good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's perfect timing. Absolutely great. All right. Well, let's move on. So this is the weekly news that we're dealing with this week, and so we'll go through these one at a time. Incidentally. Who is it? Cameron says, you've only got 18 tabs open. That's a bit of a record. What I do, Cameron, is I just try to get a few of the tabs open for the ones that we're about to talk about. And it basically kills my machine if I open them all up. So I just get about 8 of them lined up, and I'm going to close them one at a time. Like, here we go. There we go. Great. So the first one that I want to talk about this week is Justin Tadlock. Goodbye, widgets. They're about to sort of disappear. I confess that widgets were a thing that I kind of missed out when I came to WordPress, because I was already using page builders, and pretty soon after I started using WordPress, the option for things like Microthema came along, and it made it just easy for me to stick anything I wanted anywhere. Also, I'm kind of into learning how template files work and stuff like that. So never was really a thing for me, but they're sort of disappearing. And we've got this new in Gutenberg 8.9. If you download that, we've got block-based widgets, which are coming out of the experimental stage. You can see the layout here looks strikingly like Gutenberg, which is quite nice. You've got the option to, add and take away things from different footer widgets and so on and so forth. This all seems like very exciting. And then we've got this widgets block in the customizer, which, because we're in an experimental stage, is a bit of a mess. You can see here the UI is all funky, things overlapping where they shouldn't overlap. But Justin seems to be pretty bullish, certainly about this phase of thing, the new widget screen, less so about this. But what are your thoughts? Do you guys even leverage this stuff anymore? Are widgets a thing for either of you?
No, it's just the theme built out plus blocks where they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going as well. I think maybe it'll even sort of just disappear. It'll just be blocks called blocks and no more widgets. Let's just have blocks, shall we? That's where we're endeavoring to go. Let's put blocks where we want to put blocks and nothing else. Okay, well, that was an interesting one. I liked that story. Now, this is firmly in Robert's camp, because look at that name there, little name, Robert Jacobi. Tell us about this. So the story, very simply put, says breaking Convezio and Steadfast partnership. When I first read that, I read that as kind of like one company name, Steadfast Partnership. But what we're trying to say here is that Convezio and Steadfast have partnered. I confess, Robert, I don't know anything about Steadfast. So tell me, what's all this about?
That's fine, but you know plenty about Convezio then. So
yes.
They're a hosting company, started a couple years ago and moved out of beta last year, have raised some good funding, and are kind of that sort of upstart, compared to the more traditional big hosts from WP VIP, Automatic, WP Engine, InMotion, Liquid Web, all those guys. So traditionally hosts are working, at the end of the day, very few actually maintain their own infrastructure in a meaningful way. A lot of it's on Google Cloud or AWS, or one of the other sort of cloud service providers. What Steadfast is, they're a 20-year-old Chicago-based infrastructure company, and they've worked primarily in high-performance applications, everything from a lot of it in the financial space to make sure that that kind of performance is top-notch. So Convezio and Steadfast have worked together to put a specific WordPress platform together. So on the Convezio side, there's all the WordPress infrastructure, and on the hardware side, there's that Steadfast infrastructure. I hate using the word infrastructure multiple times like that, like blocks.
Yeah.
But it's they're calling it a platform as a service, but it's really so geared toward WordPress. It's WordPress as a service kind of.
Yeah, new acronym, says Beth. Look at that, WPAAS. Yeah, another one to add to the arsenal.
So it's exciting because they're more independent companies. They're not tied up in billions of public IPO equity and things like that. So I think they're putting together something really unique and a high performing value proposition for the WordPress community.
Is it largely done on are we sort of pricing matching here? Is the idea that we kind of like match the big players or undercut the big players? What's the purpose? Like from my point of view, if I came as an end user or an agency or something, am I hoping to find things that are comparable to, let's say, WP Engine spread across various different data centers and so on, but the pricing is going to be better? What's the pitch?
The pitch is the performance.
Okay.
It's 100% performance play. So the pricing will be similar, maybe a little bit better depending on, sales and all those kinds of things, but it's geared at pure performance. And I've been hosting there for a long time, and I know it's a simple blog page site, but I've done load testing with a number of tools like supervisor.com, and it's coming in at 0.3 seconds. So that's kind of
yeah,
mind-blowing performance. So it's not even doing any of that kind of static web page generation. This is straight up WordPress.
And so are we looking here at a partnership with like a new company brand, or are we still sticking with Convezio and Steadfast, or what's going to happen with this?
Well, Steadfast will be behind the scenes running it. It'll still be Convezio.
Yeah. Okay. That's exciting times. Yeah, it's nice. Thank you for letting us know about that. I never quite get to grips with press releases because they've obviously got a sort of like a different audience, haven't they? The idea, I suppose, of a press release is that you literally catch the press and then they rewrite it and churn it out in their own words. But but thank you. Got it from the horse's mouth this time. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Alrighty, the next one is this one. Now, this is just really interesting. I confess I have never submitted, I don't think, a support ticket to WordPress.org, which was incorrectly issued on WordPress.org. But the problem, it would seem, is that the support team, obviously, they're trying to support a whole range of plugins, which are free on the repository. But sometimes the problems are ones that in the premium version, the commercial version. And so a lot of time is wasted by the support team. They finally figure out what the problem is and they work out, well, that's on the premium bit. So you'll have to go back to your plugin provider and deal with it on their end. And of course, then it creates things like an SEO trail. So the exact words which you may be searching for, such and such plugin, this such and such problem. Then people flock to those posts only to find that they're closed. So time is wasted, SEO is wasted, And so the idea is to come up with kind of like, it says the support team seeks to curb support requests for commercial plugins and themes. So this is really just that. Somebody's trying to figure out what the rules should be, what the rules of engagement are. To be honest, I can't see a way through this, because if you've got a plugin on the .org repo, and there's a premium version, certainly a proportion of the people are going to be confused, Just, I don't know what the answer is, but up to you. You guys talk it through with me.
I don't have a solution either, but I agree with the support team that there needs to be some way of dealing with this more efficiently. As you said, it's all about educating the users in the end and telling them very clearly where to submit their support tickets. And probably, I'm not sure, but maybe part of the solution can be to make the support ticketing on the premium sites themselves more easy to use. So whether that's more prominent support buttons on the websites or whether that is a better support system itself, that's, I guess, up to the developers and the companies selling the plugins. But what I would see is where the confusion is coming from is people don't know where to turn to for support. And that's why WordPress.org might be their first solution when in reality their account at the paid plugins website should be.
Yeah, it's got to kill you, though. If you're a support volunteer and you've just spent like 20 minutes searching something, figuring out what the... Okay, well, that was complete dead time. I could have been doing something much more useful and helping. That would be a bit of a catastrophe. And I'm guessing this is happening sort of over and over again. It's just the problem with the space we're in. There's not really a lot we can do about it. But anyway, they're looking for meaningful ways to try and figure this out. And interesting, very nicely, Michelle Frechette, who is often on this news episode, she's mentioned in the article. She's got some opinions on this and how it can be solved. But I don't have any answers. Robert, we're relying on you to provide us with all the answers.
Okay. So the plan is that the premium providers should donate to WordPress.org, and WP.org can then, when those tickets come in for a specific plugin or theme or whatever is premium, those can be triaged by the private company first, then sent back and saying, free version, go ahead, have at it. And then that way that premium plugin provider, if it's a premium request, can handle it immediately. WP, WordPress.org becomes sort of the go-to place, expands, the SEO and marketing around that. And then the premium provider can shoot back the free ones or take care of them if they want, but allow the community to answer those.
I like it. That's fine. Let's do that. Can we all agree? The three of us? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Done deal.
Yeah, problem solved. I do like the idea of having obligated no, not required no, but certainly, sort of slight emotional pressure to, if you've got a premium version of a plugin, to give some back, give some of that revenue back. That's an interesting idea. I'm probably going to get shot down for that. Okay. But that's a really nifty idea. I like it.
And give back to the community that feeds you. I mean, that's
yeah. I'm with you. Okay, let's move on. We're ripping through these today. This is great. We're being really efficient. I know Jan wants to take this one on. This is guys over at Delicious Brains. The never-ending debate about which is the best IDE, and it just caught sight this week. Wow, I'm completely unable to scroll this page. There we go. Now suddenly I can. It's that debate about what's the best IDE. I still can't scroll it. This is weird. Delicious Brains, there seems to be a problem.
I'm talking to Brad on tomorrow for the WP Agency Summit. I bring that up.
Look, 2 scroll bars. Look, we have some problem. I wonder what it is. I think it's, look, I've reached the end of that and then I have to scroll again. Anyway, don't know. You, Jan, there are 3 things that come up here. PHP Storm gets notable mention. But the kind of winner, if you like, the one that they've decided upon is VS Code. And I know that's the one that you've kind of migrated to. What's so good about it? I've never used it. I know people that do use it and rave about it. Why is it your way to go?
It is so lightweight in the beginning. First of all, it's open source and multi-platform compatible. So I'm using Windows and Mac alike. So that makes my life easier. It's way less bloated than PHP Storm. I found that similar to how you're using Excel with maybe like 5% of the total capacity from Excel that you are employing on a day-to-day basis. It's similar with PHP Storm for me. So I've seen that Ahmad Awais has put out the VS Code Pro course, and I've taken that. And I think it was $97 at the time. So it was 1 year of license for PHP Storm that covered the course.
Nice.
And I haven't looked back since, because VS Code is easily extendable with what you need. So when you're working with WordPress, you can install autocomplete, you can install code formatting, you can install anything really. You can customize the integrated terminal that you have in VS Code, and you can do all those things in PHP Storm too. But I just found VS Code to be more easy to use on a day-to-day basis with, for example, easier ways to create custom shortcodes. So when you are, or custom key combinations. So when you have things that you do on a regular basis, you just add your own key combination to it in VS Code. And having had Ahmad Awais explaining how he set up his VS Code for WordPress development made it a no-brainer for me to stay with it.
Can you remember what the name of his course is?
It's vscode.pro, I think, is the URL.
That seemed to, I mean, he is literally the VS Code .pro, isn't he? He's really, really good. I remember that course coming out and taking a good hard look at it, thinking, never did jump because I never went to VS Code. But interestingly, Jules says PHP Storm is the winner. So basically, Jan, you're just going to have a fight with him. That's all there is to it.
I think we'll agree that there is no one winning IDE, just whatever works best for you.
Exactly. And it's nice that you've settled on one that you like, and you've obviously customized it with
and he's right that VS Code is not actually an IDE.
Yeah. It does say in the title, doesn't it? Editor for WordPress development.
Yeah, code editor.
Yeah, I was just being a little bit. What do you use, Robert? What's your go-to tool?
Can't we just all go back to using VI on Linux?
Oh no!
I didn't say Emacs.
Actually, one of the notable mentions in here, or at least one of the three, was VIM, and my heart nearly missed a beat. I just thought, why VIM? Lots of reasons why, but no.
If you have the muscle memory, then Vim is just perfect, because you don't have to think, because it's so keyboard driven that you can really do anything.
I think
the learning curve is ridiculous, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anyone unless they started playing with it 20 years ago.
He's like, he's winking at you. Maybe that's his preferred one. Oh no, he likes I know he done that one.
Storm.
He likes PHP Storm. Anyway, there you go. Go and disagree with Delicious Brains if you feel that's necessary. But it was just nice. I like this debate popping up. I don't really change too much. Okay, let's move on. This is really nice. Main WP. I don't know if either of you guys use it. I use it. It's my tool of choice for updating my stack of WordPress websites. It's yet to let me just pause and think. No, I don't think it's ever let me down. Not once. It's been rock solid for probably 3 or 4 years now. I've not had any problems with it or the things that it has done. They've made a significant change, though, this time around. They've updated to 4.1. By the way, if you want to update to 4.1, you will have to go into your install of main WP, and you'll have to update your, what are they called, Jan? Are they called extensions? I can't remember. Anyway, all the extensions you'll have to update because they've all been updated. But there's a lot of nice new stuff in here. So you've now got a pretty basic but perfectly serviceable Uptime Monitor included. It just sends out a simple HTTP request via curl, it says, and just looks for some nice response. And if it doesn't get it, it will let you know. I don't think it's all that frequent. Is it every 5 minutes or something? Frequent enough. But maybe if you've got a super duper busy site, not so much. But anyway, they've also fed that data into site health monitoring, and there's a site health monitoring page. I haven't looked at this yet, apart from the screenshot there. So I don't know what they're pulling in to judge whether things are monitored correctly or if your sites are healthy. But this is quite nice. You've now got the ability to build out custom emails. And the one that I get, and I don't know if you do too, Jan, the daily one, it's called a daily digest, I think it is now. Yeah. Where they send it out, that's now really much easier to read. It's all laid out in a beautiful, easy to look at table with like green buttons for stuff that's okay and then action that you need to take. But again, haven't fiddled with it. But now apparently there is a way for you to go in and modify your own templates to send out just anything that you need to send out whenever you need to send it out. So that's really nice. Here we go. That's the daily digest that comes out now. I just can't I just can't fault this product. I just cannot see why you wouldn't use it. And coincidentally, we've got a 25% off coupon on our deals page. So if you're looking for a reason to jump ship, this is perhaps it. And then they've got mainwp.dev. If you are hopefully, if you're trying to extend mainwp, what they've decided to do is stop trying to build everything themselves. And they've opened up this mainwp.dev where you can go and find out how to build stuff into their ecosystem if you've got a particular, I don't know, caching plugin or something like that, and you want to add that on. But there you go. That's me paraphrasing it fairly quickly. What do you use, Robert, if anything?
I don't. Hosted on Convezio does a lot of that uptime monitoring as part of the hosting platform.
Okay. Do you run like a variety of different websites that need updating enough to make it worth? No. Okay. Well, there's probably no point for having a tool such as this in that case. I don't know what the sweet spot is. You can, 2 or 3 websites that you need to manage, just log in and update them every couple of days. But if you've got a stack of them, this kind of tool just makes total sense. And I don't know if they've still got their lifetime deal, but when I bought it, you could purchase a lifetime deal, which was like 5x or something, an annual license. I can't remember, but it was totally worth it. So that's what I landed on. Very nice. Speaking of nice, ACF. You got to love ACF. Few bits and pieces. Do you know what? I won't go into the thick of it, but basically they fixed a few validation bugs, as you can see here. We're up to version 5.9.1. Elliot writes about fixed validation bugs, missing location rule choices, and he had to revert something because, what did he say? Another significant enhancement shipped in 5.9 was a change to the local JSON feature. This allowed ACF to update and delete JSON files, but he's decided to revert the change because the developers said they didn't like it for some reason. It doesn't go into that, and then there's a ton of bug fixes. This is my kind of tool of choice for setting up custom post types at the moment. I've flitted around a bit, but this is where I'm at the moment. I love it, ACF. What about you guys?
Rarely using it, to be honest.
Oh, really? You just do it all by hand?
I don't have the use case that much to build custom fields, to be honest.
Really?
I'm focusing mostly on the Summit side of things now. And I do have the custom fields in that template coded already by hand.
Okay.
So I don't do much new work besides that currently.
You don't do, I don't know, a speaker custom post type or a event.
I do have that set up.
You just did it yourself.
Custom coding, yeah. For me.
Yeah. Well, this is just so rock solid. It seems like Elliot just really, really sweats. And he's going to be in the summit that I'm organizing with Anshin, this page builder summit, which we've now mentioned twice. He's going to be one of our speakers. I was so pleased to get him in. The only thing that's difficult is we're trying to get the speakers to be with us live in the chat at the time the speaker presentation is going out, because they're mostly going to be pre-recorded, I think, because a lot of the speakers felt that was the nicest. They can polish it and make it really nice that way. But he's in Australia, so we've had to maybe fiddle with the timings of day, because when it's normal time here, they're obviously fast asleep. So we'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, ACF updated. Now this I also like, and I am so going to fail at explaining this, but I'm going to try. Sebastian Webb, the brain behind Microthema. It's at themeover.com. I often wish he'd buy microthema.com, because I tend to type in microthema.com hoping that it'll come out, and it doesn't. He's got this really cool new piece of UI. Now, I've explained it to these two guys. I'm going to try and explain it again. So his tool is a visual way of doing CSS. So let's take the example of fonts. You're trying to fiddle with the header, and you've got a slider, and you want to adjust the size of the font, and you want to see it in real time. So it's the best way to do it. You grab the slider and you go to the right, and the font gets bigger. But then you reach the end of the slider. Let's say it's, 48 pixels or something, and you've run out. There's no more slider to give you 49 pixels. What do? Well, you either have to type it, or you use this fabulous new UI feature, which is like a sliding slider. So, yeah, the sliding slider. I like it. Where it runs out, it doesn't run out. It's just off the UI. So what you can do is you can grab the slider and drag the whole thing along. Then 48 becomes 0, and you just keep going. And it never runs out. How cool is that? Just me, then. I think.
Oh, it's super cool. I was just waiting for you to show it off somewhere.
Yeah, the problem is it's in a video. Shall I just try and play the video? Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Wrong link.
Hopefully
Right.
Peter is watching or would love to.
Yeah, okay, let's see if we can
thoughts.
make it obvious. Let me find a slot in the video. You won't get the sound, I'm afraid, but you'll be able to watch it visually. Here we go. So there he is doing exactly what we're talking about. Hang on, see if we can make it, find a bit. There. So this is it, look. This is his little slider here. Watch. Here he goes.
It's brilliant.
Isn't it?
Super cool.
Isn't that very cool? I really like that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh, there was Sebastian talking to me. I found that really disconcerting. So it's oh no, he's not calling it a sliding slider. He's calling it a limitless slider. I think that's what we all need in our lives. Limitless sliders. But he's not content with that because he thought to himself, well, it'd be all right if you've got, a mouse, but what if you're on a what if you've not with a mouse? What if you're doing something else? So he's integrated it with, you can add plus and minus buttons on your keyboard and so on, and up and down and so on. And it's just great. So go and update to the latest version of Microthema. Dare I ask, do you use, either of you, a visual tool like this when doing your CSS? I'm going to almost guarantee that both of you are going to say no, but I could be wrong.
Nope.
The old school? Open up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
Never a moment where you just sort of like get beguiled by a new tool and play with it for a bit, and no, not ever.
I play with lots of things. So I've played with different types of text, content editors within WordPress, IDE type tools. But it's again a lot of muscle memory to just do things in a pretty straightforward way. I'm not developing hundreds of sites or even tens or ones of sites, so that's not really as much of a day-to-day issue.
And Jan, just never, always typing it out in
I like typing it out.
VS Studio, VS Code, sorry.
VS Code, yeah.
Yeah. I think tools like this are just great. I've actually seen it on a couple of sites that I've inherited, and it's pretty obvious that somebody has made great use of it. And what I mean by that is literally great use of it. Somebody that I've inherited the site from has perfected their workflow in something like Microthema, and they've managed to make great looking sites without touching a line of anything. And I think tools like his just do it superbly well. I know that maybe the community that we're speaking to would rather put that in a CSS file and play in that way, and but just strikes me that tools like this just get better and better. I wonder.
Well, and as we get to a more self-service WordPress world, you need those tools. I mean, again, I think we're going to be some geeks, freaks, and weirdos who want to dive into code all the time, but that's not the best way for most people to generate their content and build out something beautiful.
Yeah,
they have other skills that they want to expand upon.
Yeah, and it is sublimely easy to use his tool. So don't be put off by us nerds telling you not to do anything like this and use, open up your text editor or Vim. For sure that's the way to do this stuff. There's all sorts of other things in here. He's added full compatibility with the joyous the transform properties: scale, rotate, translate, and skew, because you need those in your life, and a whole bunch of other things. Go and check it out. I love this tool. And have you met him, either of you, Sebastian?
No.
He is the most gloriously unassuming, nice, polite gentleman. He's a really nice fella, and you'd find it hard to know that he built such a wonderful tool. You could probably sit with him all day and he wouldn't mention it. He's just that kind of a nice guy. I met him at WordCamp, and I already knew him, but I was surprised by how little he mentioned his fabulous achievement. It was lovely. Anyway, there we go. Next one, more purchases. So I don't really know what to make of this. We've got 2 purchases this week by the same company. This is Formidable. I didn't realize Formidable was a company. I thought Formidable was just forms, but it would appear that Formidable is a company that does now other things. They've bought 2 plugins this week. Business Directory plugin, which is here. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. I've never used it, but there it is. And another WordPress classifieds plugin. I've never used it, but I think I have heard of it. And they've been acquired by Formidable, which on the one hand is great because I like to see companies growing. On the other hand, it makes me wonder what's going on with the forms aspect. You know, what's going to be? Are they tinkering? Are they just sort of taking this on as a bit of a side project? What's the point? What do you guys? You got any experience with either of these?
Not specifically with the plugins. Oh, but we're just seeing this. I mean, it started really kicking off like a year and a half ago, where you're getting these roll-ups of plugins together. Liquid Web Nexus had 2 purchases in the last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're announcing another one next week or in 2 weeks. Web Ventures has been, rolling up plugin providers. Yoast and the acquisition of the blockchain plugin, or at least a significant
investment. Yeah, but they did buy Duplicate Posts a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah. So, this is happening. I think, those in the position to acquire are trying to find what makes sense for a specific, suite of services that'll happen in the long run. For classified plugin, well, what's going to be on a classified page? Certainly forms. So, how can you, make these kinds of tools work together and, grow your user base? The partnership angle is going to be going on for a while, as because there's just so many plugins, and if you can support them with, a bigger single entity, that's good for X. It may not be good for Y, and we'll see how those pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think there's this shift that is going through the ecospace in WordPress, where I've had a similar conversation with Tom from Convisio a while ago, where he also just mentioned that there is more capital coming into the space as the user space for WordPress itself grows, and as companies start to understand the potential of monetizing WordPress. So I agree with Robert here, and I would add to that I'd expect many more companies buying other companies or tools and rebranding them, reintegrating them into their own offerings sooner than later.
Yeah, we've seen that with GoDaddy, Automatic, WP Engine. They're making strategic decisions. In a lot of ways, they kind of have to spend the money they have. I mean, they've received a lot of private equity, and you got to do something with it. You just can't sit on it. The investors aren't going to, they want to see some kind of return in an accelerated pace rather than just holding on to it. Then you can just put it in the bank. So it's got to do more than just sit there.
I haven't yet been affected by any plugin that's been acquired that then appears to have been worse. In fact, no, that's true. I've not had experience of this. So as an example, if I'd built my business around this business directory plugin or the classifieds plugin, and I bet you there's people who are earning, decent amounts of money from hosting websites and somehow monetizing it. It would concern me that a forms plugin has sort of suddenly got into the act. I mean, concerns in the sense that I'd want to know what their plans are. And, a company that was focused last week on forms, as far as I could work out, is now focused on forms and a bit more. And so, I'm not a Formidable forms user, but were I to be one, I'd be thinking, okay, what's the play here? What are they going to do with their manpower? Why are they not, concentrating entirely and completely on this forms plugin that I'm invested in? It just sort of bothers me to some extent, but also at the same time, I think it's healthy. So,
well, and typically in these kinds of investments and acquisitions, there's an acquire hire going as well. So,
yeah, getting the people.
I don't know about specifically to classifieds here or some of the other properties, but if you look at what happens with WP Engine or Automatic, some of the bigger guys, they're acquiring the development team as well as part of that. So you're not going to, the worst thing they could do is diminish the quality, because that's just going to affect now the overall brand. Oh, now all of so-and-so's plugins stink. Don't use that hosting company or something like that. So
I guess when I see WP Engine buying things, I'm just kind of the opinion that WP Engine and a bunch of other companies in the WordPress space, they're just awash with money. They're literally loaded. And so as you've described, they've got this ton of money and they need to do things with it. But when I see smaller companies buying other smaller companies, I think that's the point at which I'm starting to think more about it, because I'm thinking, okay, you've got constrained resources and but we'll see. Let's hope. I mean, I have nothing but the highest hopes that this will all work out. But yet more acquisitions. At some point in the future, we'll hear about companies de-acquisitioning. They'll be splitting up, and another WordPress classified plugin will just go back out on its own and, say goodbye to Formidable. We'll see. Okay, what else have we got? Jetpack. Robert, I know you want to talk about Jetpack. I never use Jetpack. I think Jetpack seems to get a very bad rap. You can quite quickly say the word Jetpack and people seem to gather around to throw mud at it. But Jetpack launches email marketing tools with Creative Mail integration. Creative Mail being a company that, again, I had not heard of, and WooCommerce stored emails coming soon. Robert, take it from here.
Creative Mail is not a company. It's Constant Contact. So there's a partnership.
Sorry, you're of course right. Yeah.
So there's a partnership between Jetpack and Endurance, the owners of Constant Contact, and so now there'll be a Creative Mail service built into Jetpack, and the goal is to expand that to compete with other products like ActiveCampaign, OmniSend. And build out that full sort of email marketing workflow. So if there's cart abandonment, sale, all that email you typically get from an e-commerce experience. So this is the first foray. And right now, the Creative Mail plugin isn't sort of that full featured, some of the other ones I mentioned, but I think that's the goal. They're slowly building up and ramping up with Constant Contact / Endurance. Which is even more interesting because Jetpack is, an automatic company, and
right.
And Endurance is, that's Bluehost for all intents and purposes for, this discussion. So you have these two hosting companies partnering up with their software subsidiaries to build a unique value proposition, potentially.
I can see it as being really compelling. They were who was it? Sarah, I think, wrote. Yeah, Sarah wrote this article saying that, although Constant Contact, I feel like Constant Contact was a big name 8 or 9 years ago. That at that point there were a bunch of rivals and they all had an equal shot at winning. And somehow MailChimp managed to push ahead for reasons unknown. And she makes that point that the MailChimp equivalent has got many, many more installs and so on and so forth, But, if I was the guys over at Constant Contact, I'd want to get in on the WooCommerce action, and I probably want to do it via Jetpack, because that seems to be a way that a lot of people are doing this stuff. But, if they can take cart abandonment, make it easy, make it all happen in nice configurable blocks, okay, fair enough. But, it's coming. So if you've got a Constant Contact account, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out, whether you need a Constant Contact account or you need a Jetpack account. I haven't played with it yet or seen what that's all about.
Yeah, okay. Anything on that, Jan, or shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay.
I have nothing to contribute to
Fair
that.
enough. Speaking of nothing to contribute, shall we just point that article and then just move on? Nobody wants to talk about AMP, do they? Really? Let's be honest. Maybe you do wish to talk about AMP. Anyway, there's a new onboarding wizard, Sarah Gooding tells us, which actually, to be fair, looks really good. I do not play with AMP at all. I just don't. And I'm guessing, Robert, you do? You don't?
No.
No?
If you work on the fundamentals of your site being performant, then I don't think from a independent perspective you need AMP. Now, how much does Google magically apply bonus points if you're using AMP? Well, that's a different discussion. Theoretically, they say it's got to be fast on mobile, and AMP is the fastest way to do that. But I don't feel like adding extra bloat to my site to hopefully, I don't even know if I could shave any more time off at this point. So,
yeah. What about you, Jan? You using AMP? I'm going to guess
Not
that you're
at all. No,
No.
I'm now venturing into static sites rather than using AMP.
Yeah, as we learned. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, there you go. There's a new onboarding wizard in AMP version 2.0 of the AMP.
And we really should give XWP a big kudos to this because they've done a ton of work in the AMP universe. So if you need to use AMP, you're pretty much talking about one team that's put a ton of effort into this with Google.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you. Yeah, I think maybe we were a bit ridiculing too much there, but there's a lot of people who do use it. I know, for example, that the guys over at Big Orange Heart, Dan Maybe, spent a lot of time making their mobile version AMP compatible, and man, is it fast. It really is breathtakingly cool when you see it in action, but I think it's a lot of work, and he was obviously prepared to dig in. I don't know if this was the way that he did it, but he did it anyway. But there you go. I'm just going to point to this and just say that Jeff Starr, I don't know if you guys know Jeff Starr, but he's kind of one of those guys that whenever he does anything, I want to see what it is. Just got that kudos about him. He's updated his 7G firewall plugin. So if you are a user of that, then go and make sure you've updated. But sadly, the news from here goes downhill, because now we're talking about attackers fighting for control of sites targeted in file manager vulnerability. Now, I probably got the numbers wrong here because this page is now several days old, but look, this is scary. So this plugin installed on 700,000 WordPress sites by last Friday. Have I got that right? Yeah, 10th of September. By last Friday, 1.7 million sites had been attacked, and fast forward 6 more days, it had gone up to 2.6 million. Now, I did read this article. Sadly, it was about 4 days ago, and various other things have pushed that knowledge out. But what appears to be happening from memory is that people whose sites have been hacked, well, that's bad enough, but then it would appear that other hackers have managed to use the hack that was created by this to then go in and screw your site up some more. So this just feels like a never-ending cycle of horrible news. And I was talking to somebody earlier today who's been infected with this, got it all cleaned up, properly done. A couple of hours later, and we're back. And so the cycle continues. And I just feel so wretched for people. I'm lucky I missed this one. I'll have my day. But this one bypassed me. But you just think of all the people who've, for the right reasons, installed what seems to be a decent file manager plugin. There's a vulnerability. Somebody had exploited it. It appears to be, what was his name? Some handle Moroccan guy called Badger Tax. And he's just managed to find a way in and really spoiling people's websites. Just makes me cross.
Yeah, the issue is, I think, that he's creating 2 randomized files, or randomized file names. That one is always located in the web root, so that's the main folder where wp-config and stuff like that is. And then if you don't pull that file out, and then another randomized file is on a randomized writable path on your server. So it literally can be anywhere, and you have no idea what to search for and how to search, or where to search for. So that makes this so tricky.
Yeah, and it sounds like an awful lot of people have been stung. I've heard from several. Any of you? No, pray. Nobody.
Customer of mine did, yeah.
What did you say, Ian?
A customer of mine who I'm maintaining the website for did get infected too, yeah.
And what was the way out of that? What was your strategy? Did you go back to a backup or?
No, not a backup, but I had a company clean that up, and then I'm using WebArcs now to block the attack before it reaches the server.
Okay, so they built a firewall rule. Presumably, WordFence and all of the other companies that are in this are doing exactly the same thing. But just what a shame, you're in it for the right reasons. You've got a little WooCommerce shop or something. You're making a few quid, or you're just producing nice little blog articles that people want to read. And then somebody from Morocco, in this case, comes along and upsets everybody. What a thoroughly worthwhile thing to do, badge attacks. So I was very pleased that people like you are around. Moving on. Unless, Robert, you got anything with that?
Nope, you covered it all, unfortunately.
Oh, I wish it were not so. Well, to say that it's easy is completely disingenuous. This stuff is really hard. And I just wish that these really clever people, because they are, let's not deny it, they're extremely clever. I just wish that they pursued slightly more philanthropic, clever things that would benefit people. Apparently not. Okay. Paul,
they aren't paid well enough philanthropic things.
Yeah, good point. Did WebArcs have a rule automatically for this, Jan, or did you have to write your own?
I would have to check back with the team on that. I don't really know, to be honest, but I can ask Oliver what they're doing about this.
I suspect Paul maybe knows Oliver, but he's bedridden. So, Jan, yes, please. Would you, on behalf of Paul Lacey, right?
Of course.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Right, okay, well, let's move on. I did an episode this week with my good friend David Walmsley. We talked about, this is perfect with the thing that we did about Microthema earlier, whether you should be wasting time writing code or whether you should be wasting time upskilling on your favorite visual tool. Should you be doing like page builder stuff? Should you be writing it all? And that was our debate this week, and it was very, very fun. So go and have a listen to that. Got a few deals that came around this week. I'll just put those up. Happy Files. I wonder how long it'll be before Badge Attacks manages to figure out a way to destroy Happy Files. It's probably in his sights as we speak. And a few other things. Stackable still seems to be on offer. PWA for WP. What else have we got? Breezy Cloud, 15% off. Queebly blocks. I always say Queebly, and I think it should be Cubely. Anyway, there's a few bits and pieces in here. Do you go for these deals? Do you still, like, I had a habitual relationship with AppSumo about 2 years ago, and I'm much better now. I don't have to sit around with a group of my friends berating myself quite so much, but you get sucked into all this stuff.
Not so much anymore, but I jumped on the PWA deal.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It's really nice, actually.
Oh,
so
good.
Far, I'm liking it, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to buy it now.
Oh, it sucks. It sucks.
I was hoping you'd say
save
that.
The money.
That was honestly my hope, which is ridiculous. But yeah, there's a load of good stuff out there at the minute. I feel we're in such an interesting time with blocks coming around. So many things happening that my ability, what's it called? FOMO. My FOMO is probably going to come back and bite me at some point. Paul Lacey says, I'm sorry, Robert, for covering up your glorious moustache. Many hackers believe they are doing a good thing by exposing, that's the way to do it, by exposing problems. Imagine how many security issues exist for actual baddies without hackers doing what they do. It's a very gray area. Yeah, I guess my point would be the what's it called?
How to disclose those issues.
Yeah, but what's the word that comes before disclosure? There's a word, isn't there?
You mean that starting with P, private?
No, we're basically 60 days. Honorable disclosure or something like that. Correct disclosure. Basically, disclose it to the person who's got the problem software. Give them 60 days to fix it. A bit like Google do with their 0-day initiative. They announce 60. They give the person that's got a problem, probably for Google, it's not WordPress plugins so much as SaaS products and whatnot, but 60 days, you've got 60 days to fix your stuff. And after 60 days, we're going to let the whole world know. And then you'll be in trouble because the whole world will come and hack your stuff. I can't think of the word. Anyway, disclosure.
Is it ethical? Is that what you just said?
No, there's a technical term for it, and it's basically 60 days, whatever. I don't open emails from AppSumo to reduce the temptation. Good idea. You should probably make a Gmail filter or something. Anything with the word AppSumo in. Bin it right away. Okay. Right. What else have we got this week? Nothing. We're bang on time. Is there anything you guys wanted to mention? Did I miss anything out, or are you happy?
Tell us a bit more about your summit, Nathan. We only spoke about mine so far.
Oh, shall I? Do you want me to do that?
Of course.
Okay. All right. I'll whip up a page. Now, this is we did actually talk about this last week, but I'm going to mention it again. Oh, I'm on super duper small mode. What's going on there? I've obviously been fiddling with the page. Yeah, this is the Page Builder Summit. This is like a holding page. We've got some sponsors. You mentioned having a few sponsors. This is the first time I've done a summit, and so to have some sponsors, it feels really good, doesn't it? Yeah, it feels nice, it doesn't. It feel good though when somebody actually puts their hand in their wallet and says, "Yes." I felt very much vindicated. I thought, "Oh, that's really kind, that somebody is going to do that." So anyway, we've got a few more, but we haven't got them on the site. It's just a laundry list of fabulous. Look at that picture. A laundry list of people in the WordPress space. Thomas Bond, Paul Lacey. Look, he looks very well there. Speaking about page builder stuff, and it is literally that. It is only page builder related. So we are steering well clear, and I think that is a good thing, right? Jan is doing agency. We're doing page builders. They do not intermingle. So if you come to ours, you must go to Jan's, and if you go to Jan's, you must come to ours. So that's quite nice.
We did that on purpose, of course.
Yeah, of course. We completely colluded and decided. Anyway, this is what it is. Sign up here to be alerted, and very soon we'll be starting to kind of ramp it up a little bit and announce what the speakers are properly going to talk about and schedules and things like that. I was just talking to Jan earlier. We're going to play with the schedule a little bit to try and make it so that people in Australia have a fighting chance of listening on certain days live. And because a few of our speakers, most notably Troy Dean and Elliot Condon from ACF, are in Australia, and we want them to be live in the chat. And if we stuck with the sort of like now, this sort of time would be great for us in Europe and probably North America, but it would destroy their sleep habit at 4 a.m. or something. So we're going to try and mingle with that. And Jan said, make sure you're clear in communicating it. So I shall try to make clear in communicating it. But yeah, that's it. That's what it's all about. That's it. That's all I got. Anybody want to add anything, or should we knock it on the head?
I'm excited for it.
Thank you. I'm excited for it too. I'll tell you what, right? Just so that everybody knows, if you're organizing a summit and you want to do it properly, don't underestimate how much it takes, like I did. Because it takes more than you think it's going to take. There's a lot more to it. And it gives me great respect for the people like Jan who've managed to pull this off. Honest answer, Jan, do you do this all by yourself?
I do have a VA that helps with scheduling and transcriptions and stuff like that.
But that's new, right? Isn't that a new thing?
That's new. I'm using the VA for the first time this summit, yeah.
So you did the previous ones by yourself?
Except for the WP Feedback Summit. That was with the WP Feedback team. But the first WP Agency Summit and the Ecom Services Summit and that one in 2015, that were all by myself, yeah.
Well, I'm going to do the whole Wayne's World. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. I don't even get it. Responsible disclosure. Lacey comes in at the last minute with the goal, the final goal. That's
Cameron
perfect.
Jones,
yeah, well done. That's it. Oh, was it Cameron? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Cameron. That's clearly not
Paul
Lacey's.
Of being overworked.
Yeah, clearly not Paul Lacey's name. It says Cameron Jones. Responsible disclosure. That's the right answer. Right, that's it. That's all we've got for you this week. Thank you. Tell us what you're doing this week. I'm going to be working on the summit. I'm also going to be working on, hopefully, pushing out a beta of an exciting project that I've got. It's got nothing to do with WordPress. It's to do with podcasting, but I'm literally salivating with excitement about what it's going to be and how it's going to affect podcasters. So that's what I'm doing this week. What about you, Jan?
All summit.
Really? The whole way down? Yeah. You see, it takes lots of planning. Robert?
Oh boy. So we have WordPress Jacksonville meetup, WordPress Mega meetup, CloudFest. There's a bunch of events going on this week. Actually, just pulling up the calendars, see what else we have up here. Oh, supervisor load testing webinar on the GoWP Niche Agency forum.
I'm going to do it again.
WordPress publishers. Whew.
Yeah, you do seem to be extremely busy. I'm seeing your name everywhere. You know how when somebody, like, I don't know, somebody says you never see pink cars, and then like there's pink cars everywhere. Well, your name, well, Jan has been like that for years in my stream, but your name just keeps coming up. I don't know what's going on, but I'm obviously, Facebook must have that algorithm. He's stopped and read Robert's stuff. Give him more of Robert's stuff. So yeah, I understand that you're very busy. Thank you both for joining us, though. Really appreciate it. So Jacobi is everywhere.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's great. Just stick around for a second if you don't mind, and we'll have a very, very brief chat. But thank you for being with us this week. Share it, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.